You're welcome to Excel Class Hub. My name is Mr. Adikoya. So I'll be taking you through literature in English from where we stopped. We are looking at figures of speech now. What's a figure of speech? A figure of speech is any expression that draws two experiences that are not alike as if they are the same.
Pause. Don't forget to subscribe to Excel Class Hub and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our educational videos.
Now today, let's look at some examples of those figures of speech. One of them is a metaphor. Now, what's a metaphor? A metaphor, from the word meta. Meta means beyond, like META, metaphysics, beyond the physical, beyond physics. Now, metaphor, PHOR in grammar means just a word. So a word that is used beyond its normal meaning, that's a metaphor. Now, in literary terms, what's a metaphor? A metaphor is just any expression that draws two different experiences as if they are alike in a direct way. Now, please take note. Many students always expect metaphors to be nouns. They can come in any way. Look at this. But I'll talk about three ways you can have your metaphor. It can be in a verb form. If I say, the road to my house snakes down a river. Now, snakes here, this is a verb. So this is a metaphor. We have it this way. I'm definitely not referring to a snake. I mean, it's curved. It's not straight. That's what I mean. Now, it can also come by way of a noun. So, if I say, the gentleman is a Greek. I said the gentleman is a lion. The gentleman is a lion. This is a metaphor because a man is a different species from a lion, so they are not related. So I'm bringing them together. That's one. Let's look at a simile. In fact, by extension, all literary terms, they involve some metaphor. But the way they go about metaphors is what is different here. One figure of speech that's related to metaphor is a simile. Now, when you draw a comparison between two unlike terms, using comparative words, we have three comparative words. One is as, another is like, and the last one is than. It's not just the use of as or like that defines a simile. We can also use than to define it because it's used to make comparisons. So if I write a sentence like this: Maya speaks better than a parrot. You would not say this is not a simile. This is a simile because I'm still comparing Maya with a parrot. But instead of just saying better than a parrot or less than a parrot or something, why not just go straight to the point by saying Maya is a parrot? Okay, so that's one way. Then another one is synecdoche. Synecdoche. What's a synecdoche? A synecdoche, from the word SYN, syne, SYN, means two in one, double. One thing that carries two things in it. That's what the English people call syn, like synesthesia, synecdoche, even synthesis, all those words. Now, a synecdoche is any literary expression or any sentence that brings together two different parts of the same thing. So that means it can have a whole representing a part or a part representing a whole. So you see, that expression carries double in it. One expression doing two things for you. It is a part of something and it's also the whole of that thing. If you have any expression that does the two in literature, that is called a synecdoche. So let's say you are a human being, you have different organs, you have different tissues. So let's use one part of your body to represent you. So if I say there are too many faces, let's say there are too many familiar faces in the classroom. So this is a metaphor, and this example, this is a synecdoche. All right, the synecdoche here, look at it very well. It says faces, faces. I don't need your face, I need the whole of you. But I make it look like if I get your face, I'm satisfied with the whole of you. That's not true. So this word face is doing two things here. First, it's just a part of you, and it also represents the whole of you. Do you get it? So when you use a part of a human body to represent the whole of the human body, it's called synecdoche. It doesn't apply to only humans only. It can apply to anything. Like Nigeria, for example, it's a full country. We can use any part of Nigeria to represent Nigeria. For example, the government of Nigeria, what figure of speech is that called? Okay, I think now you know the answer. It's a synecdoche because Nigeria is bigger than the government. Nigeria is bigger than the government. So the government is just one of the institutions that make up Nigeria. So that's a synecdoche, one part of anything. Even in football, in sports generally, we are fond of naming just some people from that country as if they are actually the country. When you say Nigeria is playing against Ghana, how is that possible? Which stadium will host both of these populations? Nigerians, we are up to 260 million, and Ghanaians are up to 60 million people. Which stadium will host more than 300 people? It's not possible. So we don't mean the full populations of Nigeria and Ghana, but we are referring to just 11 people from Nigeria, 11 people from Ghana. They're playing against each other. Okay, then another one, that's metonymy. Metonymy. Okay, you may be wondering, why didn't I write metnym? Why did I write metonymy? Metnym, the one without the Y, is the expression itself. Then the use of that expression is called metonymy. It's just like saying something is a process, one is just a stage in the process. In a process, you have so many things to do. So each of the things you do is the stage. So you can use 1 million metonyms. So, all the metonyms put together, they are called metonymy. So that's it. Now, what's metonymy? Metonymy is the use of something that is closely associated with a human profession or any human activity to represent that human activity. Now, think very well. Every activity around you, or you can just picture one or two activities around you. And okay, have you come up with one? Okay. Now, that activity in your mind that you've just decided to use as an example, what is that thing that is associated with it? Let's talk about law, for example. Law. There are so many things lawyers use. There are so many things. They have their wigs, they have their gowns, they have the the bar. They have so many things. But why is it that it's only the bar that is used to refer to them? So that's the most popular thing. And it's the most popular because if you are a law graduate, it is not enough for you to become a lawyer. Yeah? It's not all law graduates that can become lawyers. So there's one thing that will qualify you to become a lawyer, and that is you'll be called to the bar. You go to the law school and you'll be called to the bar on the day of graduation from law school, not from your university. So you go to the bar that day after spending some months or almost a year at the law school. You will come out. All of you, the graduates, will have to step out in gowns, and they will ask you to approach the bar. There is a bar usually made of wood. It can be made of mortar, anything, or bricks. So, and then they will tell the graduates to come forward. They will have to be at the bar, close to the bar, where they will be presented with their diplomas. So that's where the word bar comes from. Okay, it's not only law, so law and bar, right? So in fact, there's a difference between a lawyer and a barrister. So the lawyer that is called to the bar is the barrister. But the one that is not called to the bar, or probably is called to the bar, can call him a lawyer. Do you see that? Now, that's not only that. We have other expressions like the bottle, which whenever people see anyone with a bottle, what do you think comes to people's mind? Okay, they think you are a drunkard. So the bottle and drunkenness, they become closely associated. They become closely associated. So the bottle becomes the metonym for drunkenness. So many more examples. So many more examples. Okay, now let's look at another one. That's antonomasia. Antonomasia simply means it's a kind of metaphor. Any word, any expression, any phrase that is popularly used about someone or a place. Now, think of popular people around you, I mean your favorite musicians or something. They have nicknames. Those nicknames, we call them antonomasia. Okay, like Wole Soyinka, what is his antonomasia? Have you taken your time to know or to probably to ask what nickname is given? Very popular nickname given to him. It's called the Shakespeare of Africa. So if you Google up Shakespeare of Africa, it's Wole Soyinka's name that will come up. Do you get that? So popular celebrities always have popular names associated with them. That's not all. Names of places too. What is the antonomasia of Lagos? Okay, center of excellence. You can think of your state of origin and come up with the antonomasia for your state of origin. Okay, then the next one, that's anagnorisis. Anagnorisis. Anagnorisis means in fact, another word for anagnorisis is um but let's move on out because it has other words synonyms. But anagnorisis actually means the stage well, let's say any story, either a play or poem or something or a novel that looks at the development of a character, okay, the progress in the development of that person. For example, you move from being ignorant to being informed. So there are some stories that capture all stages of someone's life. Those stories are called anagnorisis. Then the synonym of anagnorisis, because sometimes you may not see anagnorisis as one of the options, in exam, so you may see another question or another word there. Okay. Okay, as the class unfolds, I'll tell you more about that. Then let's look at allusion. Allusion. Allusion means, in layman's language, reference or address. Reference or what? Address. But it's not just reference or address. No. It is an indirect address. So when you mention someone's name, for example, not because that's the end of it, you just mention the name because you want to mention it. That's not an allusion. If you mention the name because you have an indirect meaning attached to that name that is not relevant to what we are talking about, that's an allusion. For example, if I say a Greek poet, I've mentioned what name here? What name? This Greek, right? I don't mean, if you think this allusion here, this expression is an allusion because it just refers to, because I mentioned the name, then you are wrong. That's not what I mean. A Greek poet here means not just any poet from Greece. That's not what I'm talking about here. But a poet that has the same status as those poets from ancient Greece those days. That is what I have in mind, not a poet that comes from Greece. That's not what I'm talking about. That is it. Now, let's look at another one that's Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem. Carpe Diem is a theme, is a type of theme, or any literary work. So it's a genre of literatures, okay, that looks into the need to use our time very well. That's the meaning. Anytime you read a literary work and it's emphasizing the need to make haste, like there's no time to waste on earth. That thing, we call it carpe diem in literature. And you see, it's one of the most important things even in human life, because everything in this life is ephemeral. It will not last long. So anything you are doing, please use your time very well. Don't say we have the whole time. You are still very young. You will never stop being young. No, that's not what carpe diem we talk about. You say, as a youth, you use your youth very well. That's called carpe diem. And I hope you know some examples of literary works that contain carpe diem. Okay, we'll use some past questions to look at some of these words. Then another one is paradox. In fact, paradox and antithesis, they look alike. So I want us to look at them. Paradox and antithesis. Where are they related? First look at them. Paradox, then antithesis. Paradox and antithesis. Paradox means, when we look at any word or any expression, any phrase, whatsoever it is, and then it's possible for us to have two levels of meaning for that expression. We say it's a paradox. Now, what are the two levels of meaning? The first is surface meaning, the next is deeper meaning. A surface meaning, that's what anybody can easily assume that, oh, this is what it means. Then it has something deeper. Like if you have to go further into it, you'll find out that there's more to it. There's an example that says, the man is father of the man. The man Okay, this expression does not belong to me, so it actually belongs to Williams Wordsworth. William William Wordsworth. So I'm quoting him. The child the child is father of the man. The child is father of the man. What does it mean? The child is father of the man. Now, does this make sense?